Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of February, 2021. And today, well, before I continue, let me give the now come traditional introduction in that I bless blessings. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you all COVID free. I hope you all are disease free. And I hope blessings upon those people that work in the healthcare field to help save the lives of those who are sick or injured. There's been some serious accidents this past couple of days because of the sudden weather changes we've seen across the country. And those that are working in emergency rooms and working in healthcare facilities and caring for older people, double blessings on you. Continue to bless the Most High, bless you and keep you and strengthen you in your endeavor to save lives and make people comfortable and make people healthy. Also, those that pick up garbage in this disease world in which we're in, they are severely underpaid. And they pick up garbage to keep our places clean. Double blessings on them. Blessings also on those who deliver food so that you can walk into a supermarket or store and buy whatever you can afford to buy because somebody delivered that food and they delivered it no matter what the weather. Double blessings on them. Also, of course, those who are out here trying to save children, boys and girls and teenagers from sick individuals and sick groups of cabals who are involved in sex trafficking on a global level. And while I ask a blessing on them, I ask a curse on all who are involved with that. Either purchasing it, either acting in it to hurt the children and teenagers, trafficking in it, and so forth. Okay, with that out of the way. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that may seem untimely, and yet I think it's timely. I'm going to talk about free agency in 2021. Yes, the Knicks have a game tonight. They're going to be playing against the Orlando Magic. And yes, we talked about that yesterday. We talked about it here on this channel on Nick of Time TV, my man Jay Ellis and Ryan. And they got a game today and we got to take care of business. No question about that. But we're looking a little past tonight's game in terms of looking ahead a little bit. Why am I doing that? Well, first, let me project, if you allow me. The Knicks, I believe, are going to be a playoff team this year. Julius Randle is an established star. And if we want a big three, we got one already with Julius. We don't need to trade him. Particularly talking about trades, we don't need to trade anybody right now. Okay? We don't need to trade anybody. We finally have a team that's playing as a cohesive unit. And part of that, of course, is the coaching staff led by Tom Thibodeau. And part of that is because Mitchell Robinson, R.J. Barrett, and Julius Randle have played together for now 2 seasons. That continuity counts for something, and you want to keep it up. Okay? So we're not looking to trade anybody right now. Okay? Unless somebody wants to go, or we can obtain somebody that wants to go that we don't intend to keep. Again, I just want to reiterate, Frank Ntilikina is my favorite Knick. And wherever he gets traded to, I'm going to add that team to my league pass because I'm going to watch Frank Ntilikina through his whole career because he was a Knick, if he's going to be a former Knick, and I like his game. So if but at the same time, they may be planning to trade Frank Ntilikina. So if they do, that's the only trade I could see, coming now, or Austin Rivers. Those are the only 2 candidates for trades at this point. And that's, because playoff teams might want them for specific roles as they make a run. Other than that, we're not looking for no trades. And with regard to free agents, there's certain players I don't even want to discuss. And if I ignore you, if you put this in the comments, I'm going to tell you why now so we can understand each other. We do not need Andre Drummond. Why? Because we have spent 3 years developing Mitchell Robinson. You don't invest in a player like that and then just toss him away at the first NBA 2K stats you look at. You don't do that. That's not how you build long-term, sustainable winning. long-term, sustainable winning. That's what we're looking for. We're not on crack anymore. Although there's some crack babies still out there, and we bear along with our Knick Nation crack babies, we don't look for short-term fixes. When we're trying to build, what? A long-term, sustainable winner in New York. Like a San Antonio. Like Miami. Like Boston. And don't give me the Lakers. The Lakers were building a long-term, sustainable winner when they drafted Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and Julius Randle and Hart. But then they got LeBron. They got LeBron and played him with those guys for a year, and then they traded all of those guys to get AD. That's how it went with them. We're not in that position. There's no LeBron level player coming here. So we have to build it the old-fashioned way, like the San Antonios, like the Miamis, like the Bostons. That's how we have to build our long-term, sustainable winner. Okay? So no, we don't need an Andre Drummond because we have Mitchell Robinson. And we now have Nerlens Noel to back him up. And we even got Taj Gibson behind them. And we even got Julius, our star, that can play the 5 if we need him to. So no, we don't need Andre Drummond. And no Mo Bamba. I'm not saying Mo Bamba's a bad player. Listen carefully. I like Mo Bamba. He's a New York guy. But we are stacked at the 5. We don't need another one. Okay? We are stacked at the 4 with just Obi Toppin and Julius Randle. We don't need another one. Okay? So we can stop that. So don't mention these guys that we have no use for. Okay? So what do we need? Let's talk about cornerstones. We mentioned Julius. We also have R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. Add to that, I think we can agree, Emmanuel Quickley. So now we have 4 players that we can say are bona fide cornerstones for the New York Knicks. We have a couple of fringe guys, or at least one in Kevin Knox. Okay? We don't know what's going to become of Kevin Knox. My feeling is he's going to stick around because he's a Kentucky guy. At least through next season, which I think they should do. But the cornerstones, the bona fide guys that we got right now, Mitchell Robinson at the 5, Julius Randle at the 4. Emmanuel Quickley can play the 1 or the 2. Don't limit him to either one. He can play either one. And RJ can play the 2 or the 3. Don't limit him to either way. So we got a wing player in RJ, and we got a backcourt guy, a guard, and an IQ, which gives us lots of options. So if we're looking in free agency, now before we go there, I want to say very plainly to y'all, there are 2 players, and I talked about this even from last summer. Those who've been following my channel since we started in August, you know I've been saying this. There's 2 players in this coming draft that if we could get either one, I'm willing to give up draft picks. I'm willing to give up Frank. I'm willing to give up Kevin Knox to get either one of these guys to move up in the draft. I'm not willing to tank for them, but I'm willing to trade for them. That is Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs. Cade Cunningham, to me, is the next coming of a combination of a Magic Johnson type of player, you know, with a John Stockton kind of guy as well. You cannot teach 7-foot wingspan, 6'7", 225 pounds that can handle the rock, shoot the rock, and defend at a high level. This guy's got all of those tools. He's a game changer. Now, Jalen Suggs, to me, I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I remember the McDonald's High School All-Star game with Jason Kidd in it. I remember that game. I watched it. I watched him as a freshman at California. Okay. When he came in the league with Dallas. I remember all of that. Okay. I don't know how many of y'all pay attention. With Jalen Suggs, you're looking at the second coming of you're looking at the second coming of Jason Kidd with a jump shot. That's what you're looking at. Okay. So either one of these guys are game changers. Now with Thibodeau, let's be real now. Neither of these guys would start. Whichever one we got would be in the position that IQ is in right now, coming off the bench behind the starter, which I believe hopefully next year that starter would be IQ, right? So you would have one of these guys come off the bench behind him, but they're game changers. These guys are Luka Doncic type game changers to me. So, aside from free agency, I would want to get one of these two guys. Okay. It doesn't matter where we're picking. Give them the Dallas picks, give them the 2023 Dallas picks as well. If they want Kevin, give him that too. That's about the best offer we can make, I think. I'm not giving up one of our cornerstones, but I'm giving up anything else but Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, or IQ. Anything else we can give them. I want that one of those two guys, because if we get one of those two guys, that is a game changer. Okay. That's a game changer. That's the type of player that within 2 years, you'll find yourself in the finals with these type of players, with this coaching staff and with the guys we already got. Okay. So that's off the table. So don't ask me about, point guards in free agency. I'm looking at these guys. Okay. Now, what do we need? So we talk about RJ as a wing. We're talking about IQ as a guard, which means you can get a guard in either guard spot and you can get either wing spot. But what I think most of us can agree on, even the craziest crackhead people in Knicks Nation can agree on, is that we would want a guy that can play the Tom Thibodeau level defense and knock down consistently an open jump shot, right? Can be a threat from that spot. Okay. Now, there are different levels of players that's going to be available. So let's talk about the players we have right now. You're talking about an Alec Burks. You're talking about a Reggie Bullock. Okay. These guys, they both play good defense and they both are not as consistent as we would like. They're good, but they're at below tier. So so that you would pay a guys like that, if you're going to keep them for long term, you give them like 3 years, 24 million, 8 years, 8 million a year, somebody in that range, 3 years, 30 million. Okay. Those are the second tier people. Now, there's no superstars going to be available in this 2021 free agency class. I'm looking at the shooting guards. Now, before we even talk about the guards, let's talk about what we're willing to pay. I think we need to start with what are we willing to pay for these players that are not quite superstars. There's always going to be, you're looking at these used cars, these used Mercedes, these used 750 BMW. These used ones with some mileage on, with some dings on. But they might still be able to run at a high level, make you look really good, but you're going to have some problems with them. So you got to decide, okay, we're not paying $100 million for any of them. Which, by the way, before we even go, let me go back again for a second. The Knicks will have $69 million in cap space this coming year, upwards of $69 million. Now, that's the number that you're going to hear tossed around, almost $70 million, but that's not real because Julius is scheduled to make 19.8 this coming season, the next season. And I can either see the Knicks letting him play through that and then re-signing him at the end of next season as a free agent because we will have his bird rights. Or if they're smart, what I would suggest they do is pay him now. Offer him 4 years, $100 million this summer. That would represent about $5.2 million above what we would be paying him anyway, but it's longer term. So offer him that extension now at the end of the season. Like, not like today, I'm saying like this summer 2021. Offer him 4 years, $100 million. Okay. And that's that. Okay, we're done. So I would offer him that now. That would represent, so now when you put that in there, that brings us down to about 45 million in cap space. Okay, that brings us down to about 45 million. Cause you're going to have RJ, we got one more year paying that bum Joakim Noah. We're going to have Obi, we're going to have Kevin, we're going to have Emmanuel quickly. We're going, we got Mitchell Robinson, we're going to have to pay him as well. And then you got, peers like Iggy Brazdegas at the minimum, and Mitchell's actually at the minimum. We're going to have to pay Mitchell. That's going to happen. So, that's part of the 45 million going right there. So I'm saying that what we're looking at is a budget for a player that's between 15 million a year and $18 million a year. That's what we're looking at. And so I would take that. That's a budget between, and I would give whoever it is a 3-year deal. So you're talking about 45 million to 54 million. You got to think of it like that. That's the slot you're dealing with, because you're going to pay Mitchell Robinson. You're going to pay Julius Randle. Okay. You don't have to worry about RJ for about another year, 2 years. So I don't have to worry about him yet. You don't have to worry about him. You're going to get the $6 million after this year off your books from Joakim Noah. Obi, you ain't got to worry about him for a minute. You ain't got to worry about Kevin for another year. You got time with these guys quickly. You got him locked down for 3 more years. You ain't got to worry about that either. So these are guys we don't have to worry about right now. But we're going to have to pay Julius, and we're going to have to pay Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell Robinson is going to get at least 15 million. Somebody will offer him that. We need to be the ones. Okay. I would give him 15, for 4 years or for 5 years, whichever. We could lock him down 15 to 18. I'll give him that. But anyway, so we're looking for spots, 2 spots that's in that range. Okay. 15 to 18 million a year, 3 years. We're looking for 2 spots in that range. We're not going to overpay. Look what happened this past year. Look what happened now. Even the players we were looking at, the money we were looking at paying them, they got overpaid, and they're not helping their teams. Bogdanovich, I wanted him. He's not helping his team win. He's not even playing right now. Atlanta's in the lottery. Okay. Gallinari, they really overpaid for him, and they still in the lottery. They're still looking at the lottery. Okay. I don't think, listen, you and I know, I think we agree. We don't want to pay somebody that's going to, get paid a lot of money, and we're still going to be in the lottery. We want somebody that's going to contribute to winning. You understand? We want somebody that's going to help us win. We're not looking for lottery. We're not looking to stay. We're trying to move up, right? So Atlanta played Bogdanovich 70 million, and they're in the 11th seed right now, 11 and 16. They play Gallinari. They pay Rondo, and they 11 and 16. They in the 11th spot in the East right now. Okay, that's where they at. They done lost 4 straight. We don't want that. That's not what we're trying to do. Okay. And then we were looking at Malik Beasley. I wanted Malik Beasley. In fact, I think Malik Beasley was my number 1 target last year. And Minnesota is 7 and 21. But see, we didn't want Malik Beasley for him to be a number 1 option. We wanted Malik Beasley to do what we're talking about right now. A guy that can consistently hit an open 3 and play some defense. Okay. Minnesota, it's not a good place for him because they're not teaching him to play no defense. Nobody on that team plays any defense. Okay. So that, but they're at the bottom. I think they got the worst record in the league. They're 7 and 21. They just they're below Detroit. Detroit's 8 and 19. Detroit 8 and 19. Even Chicago is 11 and 15. And they chose Pat Will, and he's only 19. They starting him. And and so we don't want nobody that's going to continue to, get paid, and then we're going to be in the same spot. No. So we got to be frugal with our loot. And I'm glad Leon and them Papa Leon and them was this past season. We let all those guys get all that money. Fine. But this time we're going to offer the same thing, right? So like this, Jrue Holiday, he's 31 years old. It's in the last year of a contract. He's getting paid $25 million this year. 31. Okay. Victor Oladipo. Say what you want about him now. But if you put him on a team and he's the 3rd, think about that. He'd be the 3rd option. He wouldn't be the number 1 option. We're not paying him no $100 million. Listen, he's not getting $100 million this year. He should have took what Indiana was offering him. But you make Victor Oladipo, listen now, the 3rd option behind Julius, RJ, and IQ. Now you got something. Same with Jrue Holiday. Okay. So 15 to 18 million, take it or leave it. That's the way I'm looking like this. Take it or leave it. Okay. We're not desperate now. Take it or leave it. Okay. A little below them, a guy with championship experience, Danny Green. That's another guy. You could give him 2 years, 30 million. He'll take it. Okay. He's 34 years old. I'm looking more at him though as a bench piece, like somebody like that would take Alec Burks' place. Bench piece, solid guy, defensive guy, could come in and hit an open jump shot and play solid defense and play high IQ basketball. Okay. That's Danny Green. So, you got a Drew Holiday, Victor Oladipo, Danny Green. You might have a JJ Redick, but we were talking about that last night, and I want to see if JJ has lost another step or he's just having a bad season. I mean, the dude is 37 years old. So I ain't paying him no big money. He got to show some more. But a couple of guys also at the bottom of the pile, restricted free agents that we might have a shot at. Okay, Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is balling at $1.3 million. Now, there's a small probability that Portland's going to let him go. I don't see that happening. If I'm Portland, you got to be crazy to let that guy go. You got him in the second round. He balling out. He's only 22 years old, and you're paying him 1.3. Yeah, they're going to keep him. But I'm just keeping my eye on him. I'm not saying he's a sure thing now. And I'm not paying him no 50. I mean, maybe we pay him 14, 15. Maybe. But I would go for him. Okay, Gary Trent. Maybe we can outbid his own home team. They got the bird rights on because he's restricted free agent. He's restricted. They can match. Okay. But if we really want a Gary Trent Jr., that would be a guy. You stick him next to IQ. Or you stick him between IQ and RJ as a third option. I like that. Okay. That's one guy I want to look at. Also, the New Orleans Pelicans. All you knuckleheads talking about Lonzo Ball, please go away. No. But anyway, Josh Hart out of Villanova. $2 million they're paying him. That's another guy. You could either have him take Burke's place coming off the bench or Bullock's place in the starting lineup. Okay. He is 26, just reaching his prime. That's a guy we can get on the low end, 14, 15 million over 3 years. Just like Gary Trent Jr., 14, 15 million over 3 years. Okay. We can maybe steal one of those two guys. And those guys will help us tremendously. In that starting line, they can hit an open three. Okay. Both of them. Okay. And play solid defense. That's what we're talking about. So I'm thinking we re-sign Julius. We pay Mitchell, gotta pay him. And we look to first go after a Jrue Holiday or a Victor Oladipo on the cheap. Now, I don't know what Jrue Holiday is going to command on the open market. I mean, he is 31 years old. So I don't know what he's going to command on the open market. I don't know, but I'm just saying, that's why I say we establish what we're willing to pay first. So we say, this is what we're willing to pay, take it or leave it. And we're willing to walk away. That's what you got to do, right? So you say, okay, Jrue Holiday, listen, 18 million, 54 million over 3. If he says no, if he can get a better offer, see you. Okay. Victor Oladipo, same thing. 54 million over 3. You want it? And of course, this assumes in both cases, these guys stay healthy this whole season. And then we are convinced they can stay healthy next year. Cause I'm not picking no guy like Bogdanovich that ends up on injury reserve. And I'm not paying no guy no big money. Like this cat that Washington, we were looking at him too. It was that boy from Washington, man. He's a tremendous shooter, but he's a part-time player and they're paying him like 80 million. Nah, man. We don't want to be in that position. We need somebody that's going to help us win, help us. We're trying to get to that next level. We're looking into now, we're going to be in the playoffs this year. I'm telling you. But next year, we're looking to make a deep run in the playoffs and prepare ourselves for the championship run. Okay. So we're looking for players going to help us with that. All right. So you gotta consider RJ's development. The boy's only 20. Okay. Next year, he's going to be 21. Not even, nowhere is close his prime. Okay. And we talking about playoffs and runs now. Okay. So consider that. Then you got also IQ. He's already shown. This boy he's balling out. They're already game planning for him. They're doubling him to get the ball out of his hand. Okay. And he's only 21. You got these guys already. And of course, there's Julius Randle that has established himself as a bona fide star in the NBA. Whether he's on the All-Star team or not, which of course he should be, but he's a bona fide star in the NBA right now. He always had the talent. I just didn't think he was going to put it all together. I didn't think he had the mental capacity. I was wrong. I was wrong about Julius Randle. This is the rebirth of Julius Randle, and he is a bona fide star now. So you got to play. You got, keep him, pay him. So Jrue Holiday, Victor Oladipo, Gary Trent Jr., Josh Hart. These are the type of guys I would want to bring in. And then as a second tier crew guy, I'm looking at a Tyler Johnson. And if we can get a Shamet out of Brooklyn, if we can snatch one of them, we're paying him more than they'll ever make in their life, but it's low cost. Like Larry Shamet or what's his name again? Tyler Johnson. If we offered them 2 years, $24 million, they take it. They ain't getting that right now. Tyler, 29 years old, getting $2 million. And he done showed already between Miami that he could play from Miami to Brooklyn. He could play. And then you got, then of course you still got Kendrick Nunn in Miami. I don't think they let him go. That's why I didn't mention him before. I don't think they let him go, but he's there. Okay. You got him. Then he's somebody you can make a run at. He's going to be a free agent, so you can make a run at guys like that. So there's a number of guys. There's no LeBrons. There's no ADs. There's no Antetokounmpos coming here. Okay, don't even think about that. Okay, that's why you don't look to trade all your assets when you don't have nothing yet. Don't do that. You got your cornerstones, build around them. We're in a better position than the Brooklyn Nets was when they built their team to what it is right now. I mean, we're in a better position. Brooklyn started off with they started off with no names, man. They started off with nobodies. People talk about D'Angelo Russell. He came after they started building already. They traded for him. That was a smart trade. They traded for him. But they had already started building around Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, people like that. They had already started building their team. They got Caruth, a late first rounder. They were building around these guys. And Jared Allen, they were building around these guys already. And then came Kyrie and Kevin Durant. But they didn't start off with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, but we're in a better position because we signed Julius Randle when we didn't even think he was going to be what he is now, and boom, he blossomed. Then we drafted RJ Barrett. Then we drafted in the second round Mitchell Robinson, and we drafted late first round from Kentucky IQ, and we hit it. Now look, even though like you talk about a Frank Ntilikina or Kevin Knox, this is the thing. Now, every first round draft pick makes it. And I think the Knicks are doing really good when you look at the overall picture from 2017 to now, when we got RJ Barrett, we got IQ, we got Mitchell Robinson. See, if you get anybody to make it, I mean, most players flame out. They don't become what you think they're going to become. So to get three guys and then the possibility you still got Knox and you still got Frank that can maybe blossom into something. You don't know. But not everybody makes it, right? So as much as I love Frank, he may not be fit for New York. He may have to go somewhere else. But same with Kevin. But I don't think they're going to let Kevin walk yet because, like I said, Kevin is a Kentucky guy. So what I'm saying is that we've done good. If we end up from 2017 to now, right? From 2017 to now, that's over a 4-year period. If we have gotten over that 4-year period, 3 cornerstones in Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, we got Julius Randle because really KP turned into Julius Randle. Kristaps Porzingis turned into Julius Randle because of the money we got in the trade. Okay. So we end up with Julius Randle, IQ, Mitchell Robinson, and Barrett. We have done exemplary. The New York Knicks have done an exemplary job of getting talent through the draft and free agency. If that's our 4 cornerstones, because that's what we're looking like right now. Okay. So we done well. And this coming draft, like I said, there's some good players in there, and there's obviously players I don't know nothing about. I've looked at a bunch of players that's coming out this coming draft. And, as far as the ones that stand, there's a lot of guys that's going to be possible. There's guys like I picked last year. I didn't think LaMelo Ball. I said it's 50-50. He could be boom or bust. Well, the kid is boom, right? I didn't want to draft him because it was 50-50. Boom or bust. And he's boom. He's definitely boom, right? But there's going to be guys like that people going to make mistakes on. People going to pick up an IQ like player or a Donovan Mitchell type player. But the 2 guys this year that are special, Suggs and Cade Cunningham. I mean, talent, generational talent that will bring you to the finals in their second or third season. Luka Doncic level players. That's what you want. Okay. So if we could get them, we'll be really good shape. And then there's minor guys that can shoot, like a Kyle guy out of Virginia. He's to me another Joe Harris type of guy right now. He's restricted free agent from Sacramento. He's not getting no burn. You never know. You never know. These are second tier guys that you might be able to snatch, from somebody real cheap. Maybe they turn into something. You can't give up on guys like that. You never know, right? So you can see what you got with them. Then you got guys that were drafted last year, ain't getting no burn, like your Jay Scrubs of the world, your Tyler Bays of the world. They're not getting no burn at all. I seen Cassius Stanley in the G League, and nah. And then, you got guys, that are out there that you still, you might be able to, take a look at. And then, of course, we got Jared Harper, and he's balling out in the G League also. He's been balling out. So I don't know what we're going to do with him. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but there's possibilities on that lower level. But as far as picking a player that's going to be in the starting lineup and another one that's going to be in the bench, I'm talking about guys that's going to take Alec Burke and I'm talking about guys that are going to take Alec Burke and Bullock's place. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? And I'm not hating on Alec Burke and Bullock. They're doing a good job. But I think there's guys out there in their positions. Listen carefully. There are guys out there that play their positions that are better and that will blend in with the Knicks better. And let me name them again so we understand. We're talking about Jrue Holiday. We're talking about Victor Oladipo. We're talking about Gary Trent Jr. And we're talking about Josh Hart. Those are the four top guys I would look at in free agent with the budget we're looking at. One more now. With regard to that, there's one more guy, because like I said, IQ can play either guard position, right? Now I want y'all to think about this now. Let's say we can get an old guard for like 7 or 8 million. You say, who is that guy? 7, 8 million. He's an old dude, but we can play him in there like we using Derrick Rose kind of like, right? What if Chris Paul was available for like 7 or 8 million next year? What if he's willing to come play for Leon Rose? He'd be 37. He getting 40 million this year, so he done made his bag. What if he was available for like 7, 8 million? What would y'all, I want to know this is where I want to know would y'all want to take him at that cheap price, and bring him in? Start him next to IQ. Okay. And see what we could do, Chris Paul. I mean, that's a possibility. He's an old dude, but he wouldn't cost a whole lot. He wouldn't be expensive. Man. So that's another possibility. I just wanted to mention that at the end. To me, of all the old cats available, that's a cat we want to look at. This year we were saying no, because 40 million, but if his contract is expiring, if he's going to be a free agent, if he's not, I think he's got a player option, which he's probably going to exercise. This is a moot point, right? But if he decided he was going to come our way, that might be something worth looking at, because he's an old cat, but he can still ball, but if he more than likely going to take that option and go to the bank with it. But anywho, that's what we're talking about. I'm talking about Jrue Holiday, Victor Oladipo, between 15 and 18 million per for 3 years. I'm talking about Josh Hart and Gary Trent Jr., restricted free agents that we might be able to pry away from their respective teams by offering them a nice $14, $15 million contract that their teams will see. Portland, let's look at Portland, man. Portland would have to, I think they're already in luxury tax territory. Let me take a look. But yeah, Portland right now, they're over the cap. They're projected to be over the cap for next year. And that's without having to pay Gary Trent Jr. They're already at almost 136 million. So, we might be able to poach him from them without crazy money. I mean, talking about 3 years, 42, 3 years, 45 million. That's a good price for a kid like that. So we might be able to poach him away. Same with a Josh Hart. We might be able to get away with poaching him away from New Orleans, right? Who's stacked. New Orleans is stacked with young players. So we might be able to poach Gary Hart away, especially if they're going to go into the starting lineup, get an opportunity to make the starting lineup with the Knicks with Tom Thibodeau. We might be able to do that. And both of those guys would improve our overall team. Okay. Would improve our overall team. So that's my thoughts on that. So just to review, we're not looking to trade for anybody right now. Forget the trades. Stop the NBA 2K crack game. And this summer, I'm willing to give away all our draft picks that we got this year and the Dallas pick from 2023 and Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina. Give me Cade Cunningham and or Jalen Suggs. Give me either one of those kids. Okay, and we ain't got to worry about the point guard spot. We ain't got to talk about it anymore. Okay, that's that. And then we looking at some mid-level, solid guys that can play defense and hit an open jump shot consistently. Players that we can get that's above the Alec Bullock tier, but below, the superstar tier. They're below the superstar tier, but they're above the Alec Bullock tier. Okay. Now, if we had to come back and play and rerun it with Alec and Bullock, okay, we do that. Okay. I don't mind that. But if we can get a spot higher that can help us make a deep run, and then while you get a Cade Cunningham or a Jalen Suggs and you grooming them, the Knicks are already back. We're not going to talk about the Knicks will be back. The Knicks are back right now. Okay. The Knicks are back, but we be going back into that upper tier of the NBA again. Okay. That's what we're talking about then. So what y'all think? Let me know in the comments. Shalom.